Guys, I'm really excited about this video because this is a struggling hive. And a lot of you might be dealing with this as well. It's October the 9th, it's fall, and so this hive is struggling. We're going to look at it because it's going to be helpful for you to figure out what to do with your struggling hive. Three things we're going to look at, write these down. Number one, we're going to look at the population of bees to determine if they can make it through winter. Number two, we're going to look at the queen. We're going to evaluate her laying pattern, see if she's laying well enough to keep her, or if she's even there. Maybe they're queenless. Number three, we're going to look at the resources. Do they have enough honey, bee bread, nectar in there? I know we can feed them, but we need to see how they're doing gathering things. Now, this is going to be a tough hive to inspect. A little robbing going on throughout the yards if we keep it open too long, so we have to kind of work quickly. But I'm going to show you two ways to cure this. So stay tuned throughout the whole video. This is going to be really helpful. Again, I think this is the most important video that I've ever made on how to evaluate your hive, what to do about it. Not many people tell you that. Let's get into it. Now already you can tell the population is not where we want it. It looks like even all the frames over here aren't even covered with any bees at all. And it looks like for the most part the bees are on this side of the hive. Now it is a little cooler today, like I said, barely a little over 60, barely warm enough to do a little inspection. And I saw a small hive beetle. Now small hive beetle are going to be more of a problem in a colony that's small like this. Colonies like this is what small hive beetles love to go to. So what we're going to do is look at it, see what kind of shape it's in, okay? And remember, this is sad, so go into your sad mode. This hive is not doing well. But we need to determine, what do you do with a hive that's not doing well? You got to evaluate it, find out, is there anything you can do to correct why they're not doing good. Got stung a few times, so I'm putting the gloves on. Even small hives that aren't doing well can still be pretty defensive. So don't make that mistake of thinking since they're not doing well, maybe they're a little smaller, that they're not still quite defensive. All right, what we're looking for is population. So already we know the population isn't all that great, but they are a bit feisty. All right, now let me show you what we're looking at here. We're looking at nectar that is brought in to the top of these cells, if you can see it there. So we do see some nectar glistening, and we see a queen cup. And I don't know if there's anything in it. That's going to be the first thing I'm looking at. Do you see this queen cup right here? That queen cup has nothing in it. A lot of you see me look inside those queen cups, and sometimes you see something and you wonder, is that something glistening in there? But I'll tear this open to prove it. Look, there's just nothing in that queen cup. And look at the bee bread at the top. A little bit of bee bread, small hive beetle walking around, but you can see some nectar and bee bread. Let's leave this frame out so we can have a little better eye on things. Oh, aha, look at that brood. I'm excited. Wow, okay. So we have brood. Now, when you have brood like this, that means the brood is capped over. It's pupae, and you can actually see young larvae on the outside edges that's not capped over yet. And sometimes I look for eggs and see if I see any eggs, but I don't see any eggs. I've become so good at spotting small hive beetle that it's insane. Well, it's an excellent brood pattern for sure, and I'm excited to see that. Now, you may not think this hive is struggling, but for me, they are. I'm going to show you how I determined that and why I wanted to walk you through this. Because usually by this time of the year, all my other hives out here, they have two deeps that are boiling over with bees. This one doesn't have bees that are boiling over. Again, there's good brood. Now look at this. A little piece of pupae is being pulled out. Could be hygienic behavior. Could be a stray unfertilized eggs that was laid there. I don't see any eggs in the open cells. So we're going to have to spot our queen. I don't see any very young larvae yet. So that's what I'm evaluating. So listen closely to what I'm trying to tell you guys. Just because we have capped over a brood doesn't mean we have a queen. It means we had a queen at least 8 days ago. And they are roaring kind of loud. Like a lot of times people say if you hear a hive roaring loudly, they're queenless. They're much louder than any hive that I work that has a queen. Look at us go. Isn't this fun? Evaluating a hive that's not doing as well as you want them to going into winter. I don't see any eggs at all. Let's look for the queen. There's a big old globby queen cell at the bottom down there, but that was a long time ago. I see some resources, glistening nectar at the top. See the glistening nectar? All right, let's look for the queen. Since we don't see eggs yet, we want to look for the queen. There's a very old forager. At first I thought it could be deformed wings, but it was just frayed wings. Frayed at the tips. We see a good laying pattern 8 days ago at least. They cap over the cells about 8 days to make solid brood, capped over brood. But I need to see a queen to know that they can go through winter with the queen. Look at those old queen cups and cells at the bottom. Look at that. Wow. Just make sure that's not a viable queen cell. No, they're empty queen cells. Nothing's in them, but they were there at one time. So this hive probably swarmed this year, and here we go. This is why I'm concerned. Look at this. The next frame over, it's a little cooler today. Propolis is pretty tough, pretty hard. Not many bees. A lot of small hive beetle. Look at that. Hardly no bees. And where bees aren't, small hive beetles are. No bees, no bees, no bees, no bees. So all the bees are over here in the top on this side. We did not see our queen. We're still overly concerned then. This hive is loud, like they're queenless, if that stands to be true. We'll find out. And we don't see any eggs. Yes, I'm putting this frame here because it's got bees right next to it, and I want to spread it out that way a little bit more. All right, let's smoke them and get this top deep off, and let's drop down and see if the queen is in this bottom deep. It's gonna be tough to get this off. Can you hear them roaring? Let me get my microphone close. Same thing here. Look at this. Not many bees, no bees, no bees, not even drawn out. We don't get into bees until this side of the hive. So for all intents and purposes, this is half of a hive, basically. Now, what we want to find is eggs, brood, stuff like that, down in here, or we're left to conclude we're queenless. This is something I want all of you guys to learn. Let me get that bee out of there. This is something I want all you guys to learn that are new especially, is how to evaluate your hive. Because a lot of times you might think you have a queen because the brood looks good. We're going to revisit that. Let's set this down this way for a sec. I need to put it on top of my top cover. All right. Yeah, on hot days, propolis is extremely pretty workable. But man, on cooler days like this, it's tough, it's hard. Okay, we don't have any sign of brood or eggs, larvae, nothing. No sign of much of the comb even drawn out over here against the wall. Let's put that aside for a second and look at more stuff. Man, I would be shocked if we have a queen. I really would be. What do you do if you look at this hive and you don't find a queen? What do you do? Well, it would be worse for me to find a queen. Because if I find a queen, I have to decide, uh-oh, maybe something's wrong with my queen because why isn't she filling this up with eggs, right? So I would have an easier solution if I don't see a queen. I just conclude I'm queenless. Now, before we determine we're queenless, I want to show you something. There's a whole wall full of bees over here. Let's get a camera closer. Anytime you have a wall like this with bees on it, you can't conclude you're queenless until you take a good look at that wall. Why are all those bees on that wall? Sometimes you do find the queen, and I call her a wall walker. Now look at this. This next comb is messed up. We got some wonky comb coming up. Wow. Oh, look at that crazy comb there. They kind of built it weird, didn't pull it out straight. No queen on this frame. Not many bees. Population not good. Population bad. Look at that. Nothing. Let's leave that out so we can look at the wall a little better. And let's get a smoke on this. My guess so far, and I'm drawing a quick conclusion, but I'm thinking they swarmed and they failed to raise a queen, because they have to raise a queen, because once they swarm, look at that, that's a supersedure cell there. They've had queen issues. We see swarm cells, supersedure cells. They haven't had good luck with their queen, for sure. That's all the telltale signs. Look at that. See that supersedure queen cell right there? I mean, it's been a while, but that's what I'm talking about. They haven't had good luck with their queen. That's why their population is down. Okay? So now, looking at this, this would have been filled up. If I showed you one of my other hives right now, you would be shocked how many bees are in there going into winter. All right, no queen, no egg, no brood, no resources. We saw some resources in the top. Look at that, supersedure cells, possibly swarm cells. I'll point them out to you. Here, here, here. Do you see that? They could not get queen right. Okay, so now we have, let's evaluate the three things we're looking for. No need to look anymore. We're looking for a population. So population is low. This is big enough to maybe make it in a single deep through winter. The queen, not present, unless she's on this wall. Again, if she's on the wall, I'm not happy, because she's not laying any eggs. If she's there, if the queen is present, she's not doing well. I think they never did get a queen. But since we're wearing gloves, let's be gentle not to hurt bees. Let's just rake up a bunch of bees and see if we see a queen on our hand or something. Ooh, they're warm though. All right, so what's the solution? They're roaring loudly. That's a pretty good indication. And there's just not much in the way of brood. We saw brood in the top, so they do have brood. Now what we're going to do, because what I like to do is double check myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the top deep back on, because there was brood there. And I want to determine if the queen is up there. I want to look a little more carefully at the brood and the queen possibility of her existence up there. All right, so let's talk about the solutions. What do we do? If we have a queen, things aren't going well unless she's a very new queen and they're just now getting things going up at the top. So that's a possibility. We might keep her, and we could combine this hive with another hive and get rid of the queen that we have here that maybe isn't a good queen at all. We may want to abandon this queen. That's one option. So let's go ahead and get this other deep on here. I can already see we got robber bees showing up. It's the last thing you need on a small hive like this. So now we're going to look super fast. It's that time of the year. We're going to start over here and work our way over to where we saw the brood and see if we see a queen. How do I know they're robber bees? Well, look, they're flying around. They're not landing, they're just flying around the top. No brood there. Where was that brood we saw? Nope, no brood there, just the resources. Wow, what do we have? Just 2 frames of brood? Yeah, that's right. So let's look for our queen. She could be on this frame of brood. No. And I'm sorry, I'm just not seeing any eggs. The youngest larvae is about that age right there, about day 6. Let's look over here. Oh, there's our queen. Scratch off the idea that if they don't have a queen, they're loud. They have a queen, there she is. But I'm just not seeing eggs. So that's a big problem right there. Is that a new queen that's just started laying? Why don't we see more eggs? Let's put this hive together. We're going to run back to the picnic table. I'm going to tell you the solutions. Because this hive is starting to attract robbers being open this long. We got to seal it off. See you at the picnic table for the solutions. That was an exciting time to be in the bee yard. I want to talk about solutions now. What are we going to do in order to keep this hive alive and especially maybe keep it going through winter? Now, I think there are probably 2 solutions, probably more, but I want to talk about 2. One would be to just feed the heck out of it and keep our fingers crossed that that's a new queen, that she just hasn't started laying well yet, and just feed them. Feed them 1-to-1 sugar water with my Burns feeder on top, and just see how many days we can feed it before it really starts getting colder. Here's the problem with that solution. We don't know the age of the queen. She could be a couple of months old and just not laying good at all. And maybe that brood pattern was when she was laying good and now she's not. So we don't know, and we've ran out of time to evaluate that. It's just getting too cold. Frost warning for tonight, for example. And so that's a solution we could do just to test it out, see if it would improve. But let's face it, are they going to really be able to lay that much brood? I need 4 to 6 frames of solid brood of bees winter physiology for that hive to kind of shape back up, make it in winter. So that solution, keep it that way and feed it, is a solution, and it could work. It might be the right thing to do. The second solution that we could do is to do away with that queen and combine that hive with another hive that's kind of weak as well, but may have a better queen. Now, a few things about this queen. If she is the mother of the bees that I was working today, they're not very nice. I got stung several times on my thumb. They were pretty defensive, and they had a lot of queen issues all year. In other words, it could be a genetic trait. It looked like they swarmed. It looked like they had supersedure cells. They're not a queen. They weren't really able to be queen right. That's why they have low population. So if that's the genetics, I kind of like to get rid of that genetics and put a known genetic in there. So all of that considered, my best option for me is to kill that queen and combine this hive with another hive. But hey, I don't have all the answers, and certainly you don't have to do it my way. There are a lot of ways to keep bees, a lot of ways that you could proceed, and a lot of options. But those are the 2 that kind of come to mind when you're faced with this kind of a problematic hive late in the year, and you just know the bees aren't going to snap back very fast from it. So I hope that was really helpful. Hey, look at this. I want to show you guys something. I noticed, I opened this up and I noticed that it is a hat and veil for Bobblehead David. In one of my videos, I mentioned that Bobblehead David is scared around beehives. He wasn't at the hive today. And so I think that is a great thing to have for Bobblehead David. And I mentioned it before that we need a hat and veil, and it looks like that's what happened. David, here's a hat and veil for Bobblehead David. Not sure if it will fit. It has a chin strap. Just hold the white cord and slide the white rubber cord. Oh, wow. I watched your videos, and what knowledge I am gaining. Well, yeah, that's a nice letter. I'll read that a little bit later. Deborah, thanks Deborah for giving Bobblehead David a hat and veil. Let's see if it does fit. Did you make this yourself, Deborah? Wow, that's crazy. Oh, now that is the cutest thing ever. Oh man. Be sure and subscribe. He won't let go of the sign. You can let go, David. All right, let's see if this hat and veil will fit. That is so, I would say a little bit big. I know it's hard to judge Bobblehead David, his size. Bobblehead David is smaller in real life. And Bobblehead David looks bigger on TV, on the computer or something. Oh, it's over his eyes. There he goes. Yeah, there he's got a hat and a veil on now. That's pretty cool. Thanks so much, Deborah. That's really neat. Bobblehead David's going to really enjoy that. If you can make another one, fingers crossed, a little bit smaller, now you have a kind of proportion of what his head size is. Maybe that will give you an idea of a little bit smaller. About half that size might do the trick. Now, guys, if you really enjoyed the video today, I hope it gave you a lot of knowledge on how to evaluate your hives and what kind of issues you're facing and how to resolve them late in the year. I just made another great video. Now it's time to make sure that your mites are under control. Made this video here, how to use Formic Pro. I'll see you guys over there.